Hi everyone! I'm here today to show you how I put this wreath together, how I made my flowers with the Cricut, and also how I made these leaves gold. It's really just embossing powder. But first things first, I made my own template for the flowers on the Cricut Design Space, and I'll kind of show you how I did that because the ones I were finding online wasn't what I was looking for, or you had to buy them. I did not want to buy them, so I figured out a way to make them myself, and it's really super simple. So I wanted to show you so that you know how to make these yourself with your Cricut. Now, these are the different sizes I've made. This is the largest flower. This is the medium-sized flower, and this is the small flower. And I'll give you the dimensions I used for this in a minute. But just keep in mind that you can make your flowers any size you want. If you want really large ones, go ahead and make them bigger. Just kind of fiddle with the dimensions if you want, figure them out. But for these flowers, I'll show you what I used, what I did, and the dimensions. Okay, so here we are in Cricut's Design Space. I wanted to show you, these are the two images that you need for your flower. You need a petal, you need a circle, and that's literally it. And the circle is super simple. You just find that down here in your shapes. So we got a circle here. And then I made the petal by taking 3 circles and sort of stretching them out into ovals. So I'm going to, I need 3 ovals. So this is the middle one, so that one's going to stay just like that. I want the other ones to be about the same size, so I'm going to go over and just duplicate this. Okay, now this one I kind of want a little bit like that. I just kind of want it tweaked a little bit. So I'm starting to build that little scallop on the top. Now if you take this and duplicate it, you'll get one exactly the same size, and then you just want to find the little flip button. You want to flip it, so now it's going the other way, and just put it together. So now you have your little petal shape. Super simple. What you want to do in order for the Cricut to cut this all out as one shape is select all 3 images, and then you want to go ahead and weld them. So now it is one image, and you can size it to any size you want. Now you can do it this way to make this shape of a petal, or you can always use a heart. So this heart has more of a deeper V here, so that's going to give you a little different look in your flowers, but you can do whatever you want. If you want to do any kind of flower you want, you know, get creative and try to figure it out. So that's what I did. I didn't go out and buy any templates or download anything. I had kind of figured out by cutting by hand that takes way too long. So this was really easy to figure out. So that's how I did it in Design Space. So I'm just going to get rid of that. So you just need 1 circle, and then I'm going to give you the dimensions for the different sizes. Here's my little cheat sheet. I have it written down because I have this saved on my Cricut Design Space. So I just go in and resize it depending on which size of flower I want to create. So for a large flower, I use a 3-inch circle. The petals are 2 inches wide by 2 1/4 inches tall, and then I cut 12 petals per flower for the large one. Now you could probably get about 12 to 16 petals depending on how full you want your flower to look. This one that I have on my wreath, I have that little hello. It's a little chipboard piece. It's actually a chipboard sticker for a planner. I have that in the middle, so that's filling up some space. But if you want to go ahead and cut about 16 of these petals out, then it'll make your flower a little bit fuller. So that's the large flower. The medium flower is a 2-inch circle by 1 1/2 inches wide for the petal, and then 2.25 inches high for the petal. So that's the petal, and you need 8 petals. Now the small circle, the small flower, you need a 1.5 inch circle, and then your petals will be 1.25 width by 1.75 high. So those are the dimensions I use for my flowers. I'm going to show you how I assembled them. Really simple. So once you have all the dimensions figured out, you know what kind of flowers you want to make, you can get them all on your Cricut mat and kind of map them out to fill up your mat so you are not wasting any paper. This paper is Canvas Corpse Ivory cardstock. I just thought ivory was a really nice color. I didn't go ahead and color them at all. You could use colored cardstock, you could spray them with some glimmer mist, you could color them with ink, whatever you want to do, but I just used ivory. So I'm going to make a large flower for you today just so you can kind of see better what I'm doing. So I have the large circle cut out. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I have 12 petals for the large one. I also put a medium flower on this mat too because I had enough room. So I just went ahead and threw it on there, so I used up all the paper. So just pop out all your petals and your circle. Okay, so put your circle aside right now because you don't need it. And just gather up your petals. And on each petal, you want to take and cut a slit just like that. So you're kind of making 2 flaps. So do that with all of your petals. Okay, so once you have all your petals cut, a little slit here, you're going to take one side and fold it over the other, and that's going to make your petal sort of curl up. So you can use different adhesives. I'm using hot glue today, and especially if you're putting this on a wreath or something, you might want to use hot glue because being on your front door or wherever you're going to put it, it's going to get a little bit more wear and tear, and hot glue I feel like holds a little bit better. Otherwise you could use tape adhesive, glue dots. You can use wet glue, but you might have to clip it or hold it for a while so that it'll stick. And just go ahead and glue all your petals. Okay. Once all your petals are glued together, you want to start adding them to your base. Now the best way I have found to do this is add a little glue to the edge. Go ahead and take your petal and just push it down on. And I find it's best to kind of work symmetrically, so take and go to the opposite side. That way your spacing is going to be a little bit more even, and your flower is going to look a little bit not, it'll look symmetrical, if that makes sense. So this is how I like to do it. You can do it any way you want. You can also mix different sizes of petals, but I find for these, they work with all the same size. But there's a million different ways to make your own flowers, so go ahead and get creative. Alright, so there is your basic flower. Like I said, you might want to make yours fuller, so you could go ahead and cut out some more petals and keep layering them in here. But this is basically it. Now you can do a center, you could do buttons, you could do like I did, put a little chipboard piece in there. If you want to make that little fringy center, like what I have here, I'll show you how to do that. I'm just going to go ahead and glue this. This fell off of a different flower, so I'm just going to use it for this one. And just hot glue that in the middle. So, there you go. There's a finished flower. If you want to make that fringy little center, I'll show you how you do that. You just take a strip of cardstock, and this is almost too wide. The width is going to be how tall it is. So if you have a really big flower, you might want one this wide. But for our flowers, probably this wide is probably fine. So you just take a strip, and I just cut fringes all the way down, and then you roll it. And then once you get to the end, you glue it, and then you just puff up the little fringes. So super simple. So these are really easy flowers to do, and your Cricut just makes it super quick, super easy. You can make them white, you can make them any color cardstock you have, patterns, whatever you need to match your decor. And like I did, I glued them onto a wreath. Now after I had my wreath filled, I noticed I had a few gaps here, so I wanted to fill that in with some leaves. So these leaves are just a file that I found that I had in my images that I cut out with the Cricut as well, and I'll show you how I went and I made them gold. Okay, I'm just going to show you how I did it with this little circle, just some cardstock piece that I'm not really using. It's just embossing, so you want to go ahead and get some embossing paste over your whole surface that you want to emboss. And I'm using Brutus Monroe's embossing ink. Yeah, so you want to get your ink all over the surface, make sure it's totally covered. And then when I'm embossing, I like to put my piece in a coffee filter, and that helps to just contain everything in there. And now I'm using Brutus Monroe's Gilded Embossing Powder. I love this embossing powder. It just gives it such a smooth, shiny finish, and it just looks like real gold. So you want to get it all over the surface, tap off the extras. There's a little side here that's not totally, just make sure it's all filled. And then with your coffee filter, you can just kind of fold it and pour your powder back into your bottle. That way you can conserve, and it really doesn't use all that much at once. So now I'm just going to put this back in here, and you can see I smudged the edges a little bit. So just be careful when you're doing that, so you try not to do that. And then you just want to hit it with your heat tool. Okay? So it's all embossed. You want to give it just like a few seconds to kind of let it cool down, because if you touch it too quickly, it will smudge because it's still hot. But if you kind of just let it cool down, then you can see you have a beautiful gold piece that you've embossed. So you can emboss your stamps, you can emboss paper like this. This is how I did all the leaves. I just went ahead and I embossed all the leaves, and then the gold kind of matched that little hello in the center. So I hope this has kind of given you an idea of how to make your own paper flowers and how to emboss your leaves. I hope you enjoyed this little wreath, this little tutorial. Tell me what you think. Questions, comments, leave them below. I'd love to hear from you. Otherwise, I'll catch you next time. Bye.